All right, folks, well, check it out. As promised, what we always do, not only do we seek entrepreneurs, we seek family-oriented folks, we seek the solopreneur, the corporate executive, principals, presidents of schools, and the common denominator is what do they do on a daily basis to not only help make the world a better place, one person at a time, of course, but the impact they're having and the ripple effect over the long term. And today I have with me none other than Terry Matthews. What's up, Terry? How you doing, brother?
Thanks, Rob.
He's the president of Hudson Catholic, and we're going to talk about how to invest in your kids and what that looks like, because we know that whenever somebody has a child, I was told that from day one till age 30, it costs about $1 million, right? Now, that number could fluctuate. I know interest rates went from 3 to 7% in the last 12 months, so that could be a little bit different right now. We know that there's been about $1 trillion lost in real estate values, equity over the last 12 months. But with that being said, I think education is the key, right?
I think it's the only
that's where
valuable commodity.
Intentional, congruent education that leads to, a landing place to where that person or persons can help make the world a better place. So Tara, when we talk about your journey, just tell the folks a little bit about who you are now and what you're doing as far as the school itself and how that's been impacting the current community in Jersey City.
I'm the president principal of Hudson Catholic High School.
Yep.
And we are a co-educational high school located in Jersey City. We're an urban high school, and our mission is to provide a quality faith-based education to the youth of Hudson County primarily, but outside.
Yeah. And you've been in the school system since what year for you?
I've been in there 38 years is my is this year. I started in 1985 in September.
Yeah, so it's funny because we've seen in life that you have coaches and they have kids, right? And a coach's kid is a gym rat. They usually say that when it comes to a specific sport, whether it's football, whatever the sport may be. You're kind of like a gym rat when it comes to being in the school system because your dad, the late, if you want to talk a little bit about the impact that he's had.
My dad was a lifelong educator, Terry Matthews, and probably if you have a hero, and you're supposed to have heroes, and he's mine.
Yeah.
And he was dedicated to education, but public education.
Yep.
So I'm a little bit of the black sheep of the family.
You like Marilyn Manson?
A little bit.
Is that what Jackie says?
But I think that my plan had been to come out of college, do 2 years. I can give you the backstory of how I got into Catholic education, but once I get in I was going to do 2 years and then go into public education.
Yep.
And then I found that I liked what I did.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the audience that we're looking at, these are entrepreneurs, but they're all over the country. They're not necessarily in Hudson County. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between public and private education from the perspective that you're talking about right now?
And not get in trouble doing it?
Yeah, yes.
I think for me, I had
not necessarily an opinion, but more like, hey, this was the route of the public, this was the route of the private. And
I think that for me, looking at public education, I believe in public education. I believe in choice. I'm glad that there's public education. Mine was, I appreciated the fact that we were mission based.
Yes,
and I think that that's what separates it. I think that. Your taxpayer-funded schools are wonderful. I think that they're havens for the kids of the cities and the suburbs. I think they do a great job of educating the person. I don't necessarily know that the soul and the heart are always a targeted component, and I think that they have to be.
Understood. That makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because oftentimes I'll speak a little bit about, and I'm speaking financially, whether it's private or public, the financial education, there is none. There's no education in high schools, even college. I mean, they're starting to do more in college, but how to become an entrepreneur.
Right.
There's no education in any of these systems on how to really start thinking outside of the box. Everything is more like system, process. Go to college. And listen, a lot of folks get these student loans and, it's $1 trillion nightmare right now. And at the end of the day, they're not going to college and then getting the job on while they went to college. Back in the 80s, that happened. So in the 80s, if you got student loans, there was a good chance your job paid off those student loans. That's not happening right now, right? So when we talk about the educational system, I love what you just touched on, in your opinion, of course, but you kind of talked a little bit about there's more than just the education.
Yes.
There's a more meaning behind it, which leads to good alumni. It leads to people, wanting to give back to the school. No different than the high school that you and I went to. We don't have to talk about it. But the alumni there is very strong, right? The give back is there very strong. And because of what you're talking about, and I think that what I'm so intrigued about what you've done, and I can't wait to talk about 2010, but I love the fact that you stand for something greater than just the school itself. You stand
Thanks.
for the messaging of the school on how it could bring and help more people in ways that it's not so far, although it's been a gigantic leap since 2010.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is pretty incredible. It's going to be a story that everybody loves to hear about.
Well, our story was that, like a lot of Catholic schools, we were suffering. Our enrollment was down. Our financial situation was pretty rough.
And this was like 2008, 9, and 10?
2008.
Right after the crisis?
Sure.
Yep.
And a lot of times, small Catholic schools, and it's probably an anecdotal, story on my part or mindset, but small Catholic schools don't have that long-term vision. And you live year to year.
Yeah.
And in 2008, ours came to a pretty rough awakening.
And that was everybody too, Terry? Like, I know there was other schools that struggled in the area
There
because
was,
of that?
yeah, there were schools that had struggled before. There have been schools that struggled afterwards, unfortunately. But for us, our nascent moment was we're not making our bills.
Yeah.
And this is getting really tight. And the Archdiocese, we're a diocesan high school, had stepped in and said, we think we need to close your school.
Now, you weren't the president at this
No.
point. What was your job at that point?
Jeez. At that point, I think I was athletic director or dean of students.
So you were the athletic director, dean of students.
Yes.
Well into your career.
Yes.
And there was a moment where, and I'll say this, your influence has been incredible. Monetarily, there was many other opportunities for you. I would
sure.
assume that you chose no money, I want to serve.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I love about you more than anything else. That was like you weren't, money didn't mean anything other than the importance of having your, to make your family feel comfortable, meal to meal, house to house.
I was
but you had a
gift-
different calling.
Yes, but I was gifted with an incredibly understanding wife who bought into my vision
Yeah.
and my dream because she paid a price as a nurse, and she worked hard, and I was afforded an opportunity to stay in Catholic education because she helped with our, substantially with our income.
Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of our entrepreneurs that are at the highest level, whether it's a female or a male, the spouse is all in.
Yes.
Right? Now, you don't need to have your spouse to be all in to do it, but it makes it a lot easier at home when you're a spouse. And that was Jacqueline
Yes.
Matthews, a.k.a. Jacqueline Perosi from the Bayonne Perosi's, right?
Yes.
Bayonne, New Jersey, who happens to be my first cousin and who I love and adore. So Jackie was always your rock.
100%.
Right. And I think that when I go back to that time, and it was right after 2008-9, I remember all of a sudden you just kind of stepped into a new space based on what was happening economically at the school. If you want to talk about that, I think it's an unbelievable story. And that's why you are where you are today, 10, 12 years later.
We had, we decided that we were going to become a co-educational institution. We had been all male since the school's inception in 1964. And we did some major renovations to the building, and with the help of the diocese. And our original plan was that we were going to take a freshman class of girls, and then the next year we would take another freshman. And over 4 years.
This was before 08, though.
No, this was right at 08. Right
When this happened?
Right. Once we
Got it.
realized that we were going to possibly be closed.
Now, when you say you were the dean of students,
Mm-hmm.
and did you get injected into what was happening? And like, Terry, we need your help.
Yes.
Okay, talk a little bit about that, because I think that's
Just the idea that we all had to start pulling
Got
the
it.
oars.
Got it.
It wasn't that the administration is operating in a vacuum and the teachers are just there. It was a communal effort. It was teachers, it was students, it was families, it was alumni, it was the administration, everyone getting together to say, hey, we have to do what we have to do to save this institution.
community wins. And but let me ask you this: was it like, hey, we got 90 days and they're shutting it down? Was it one of those things? Or was it like 30 days?
It was more like 30 days.
There was a notice: you got 30 days or it's done.
We went out to a meeting, and we were about 8 of us went out on a Monday, and we went out for a meeting with the leaders in the diocese, and we were told you have 45 days to raise I believe it was $200,000. And it was an 18-minute drive back to Jersey City.
Wow.
And when I got back to Jersey City, the message that we got on paper was you have 30 days to raise $300,000.
So they changed it within that 18-minute drive from 2 to 300,000 from 45 to 30 days.
Correct.
And that's when I guess, you know, we all have superheroes, and we all can be our own superhero at any given point in time, especially when there's a deadline. Guys, this is about goals, gals. When you have a goal with a deadline, not just a goal with a deadline, there is no time for distractions. Goals with deadlines, you say it in the mirror, you get into your nervous system. There is no time for any kind of horse and there's no time for distractions. And what you did in the next 30 days with your team, feel free to share it to everybody because it's unbelievable.
Our alumni association,
by the way,
really jumped in.
To be clear, this was as the crisis was happening, people's real estate, stock market accounts, and money was drying up. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And our alumni association jumped in.
Beautiful.
They galvanized, they mobilized. One of the hard things when you're talking about a school is when you drive by and you see lights on, you see kids standing outside, you think everything's okay. And unless you're told everything's not okay,
Yep.
you don't know.
Yep.
And we were finally telling people it's not okay. And it was on us that we hadn't been telling them for the longest time.
You learned that. Yeah.
And it was a hard lesson to learn, and it was a valuable lesson to learn. And the alumni raised $500,000 in that 30 days.
Wow.
And the school was able to stand on its feet. We went through those renovations that we talked about with a game plan of becoming co-ed.
Yep.
The ironic part, as I told you, was that our original plan was a class of freshman girls, another class in 4 years, have 4 levels of girls.
Yep.
And another local high school closed in the process.
Yep.
And the diocese called us up and said, you have the facilities for coeducational students now.
Yeah.
We want these young ladies who are in this existing Catholic school that's going to close
Yep.
to have the opportunity to finish with a Catholic education. So we want you to take all girls in all 4-year levels.
Yeah.
And I think that was the turning point for us.
Yeah.
We brought the girls in, and at one point in my many positioned career in Catholic education,
Yep.
I had been the director of admissions.
Yep.
And our current admissions director had a conflict, and he asked me if I would go and do a presentation for him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first year after we have girls in all 4-year levels.
Yep.
And I go and I do a presentation, and when I'm done, there's a young mother standing there, and she says, may I speak with you? And I said, sure. And then she said, I want to let you know that it really means a lot to me that you have girls in all 4-year levels. And I said, no disrespect intended, ma'am, but why does it matter? Your daughter's in the 8th grade. She would be going into, a class with. He said, I was in another Catholic school that had gone co-ed while I was there, and they only took a freshman class of girls. And it was incredibly uncomfortable because there were no girls in the sophomore year. There were no girls in the junior year. There was no girls in the senior year. And it was a very uncomfortable existence for me, and I don't want that for my daughter.
Amazing.
And it just worked out for us in a sense. And those girls took over, Rob. When I tell you,
Yep.
we lucked out with 13 phenomenal young women from that local high school.
That were seniors?
They were juniors, and they were going to be in their senior class.
Yep.
They came in. They took over the school.
Amazing.
Those 13 young ladies. They were their best students. They were their best student athletes.
Yeah.
They were on the student council at their prior school.
I'm getting
They
chills
came
just
in.
talking
They
about
took
it.
over.
Yep.
Within 2 years, the president of the student council was a woman.
Yeah. Let's slow down because you just said so much for business owners. And I'm going to play it all into place, I'm going to just kind of chunk it out based on what I saw. First of all, the community or alumni galvanization of $500,000 is incredible. It just goes to show that, when you have intentionality, congruency with integrity, good things are always going to happen, right?
Yes.
There was a 30-day clock, and there was no confusion about what the mission was. What I really love, though, is, and this stands for anything in life, once you put action to it, right, with consistency and commitment, when you become the hunted, in other words, 30 days from shutting the door down,
Right.
you become the hunter, and this is what I mean by that. All of a sudden, they now come to you. You proved yourself, and now they want your help to take on these other kids.
Yes.
Right? Amazing, right? So we talk about a rock splash, but it's the ripple. Think about that ripple from 2008 to 2009 to getting the four-year student females that came in and changed the energy, right? Energetic transformation, right? Going from one to another, a whole new look. And at that point, prior to the ladies or the young girls coming in, how many students were there before you made the shift?
300. We were down to 360 students.
And you were like barely breathing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And where are you today? Just 10 years later. I just want to kind of put that in.
525
So
students.
it's like an 80% increase almost. Yeah. So when you track, if we look at the history of Hudson Catholic,
Yes.
right? And what does Hudson Catholic stand for? Just so the folks, they're not the secondary school. Just to be clear, what do you guys really stand for? You gals stand for? What is it about that makes that school so special?
I think we're a mission-based school, and our mission is about providing opportunity
Got it.
to young men and women.
And there was a mismessage about them, though, right, before
Yes.
that. And what was the mismessage? So we could clarify that right now.
I think the mismessage was that there wasn't a real message. I think that we didn't have a very strong identity.
Yeah.
And I think that we were in a survival mode.
Yep.
And I think you don't look forward when you're in survival mode. You look right down,
Yeah.
right what's going on. Everything is reactive
Yep.
rather than being proactive.
Sounds like abundant versus scarce mindset. Yeah, amazing. So when I think about 2008, 9, 10, and you go from the 300 students, then you raise the money, the students come in this door, stay open, other schools shut down, they start coming to you, but then there's a whole energy shift
Yes.
in the school. And that translated into not just sports, and for all the folks that are local that are watching this, they know that Hudson Catholic has a great athletic program. But talk about the academics. How good are the academics there?
The academics were very good, and
Please.
we probably underrate ourselves, unfortunately, and that's one of the things that I'm working on right now, is to sell our academic image a little better, because we need to do a better job of that. Our kids are going to phenomenal schools.
Yeah.
Our valedictorian was accepted at Cornell.
Wow.
I have graduates who are at Harvard. But the mission of our school is to serve a wide spectrum of students.
Yep.
We're based on the teachings of St. John Baptist de La Salle, who's the patron saint of teachers. And de La Salle lived in France about 400 years ago, and at the time, the only kids that were allowed to get an education were the sons of wealthy people. And he opened up schools for street kids.
Got it.
And he saw opportunity, and he did such a good job that the
it.
wealthy people in France tried to send their kids to his schools after a while. So my belief right now, or our belief, is that we have to be there for that wide spectrum of student. So that high academic achiever, that traditional, college prep level kid, and even kids who struggle academically. I'm a big believer that God gives a lot of different talents.
Yeah.
And somebody's talent may be being fantastic in math. Another buddy's talent could be playing the violin. Somebody else's talent could be shooting a basketball or swimming a race or running. Like, there's talents.
Yeah.
Our job is to provide a safe environment for students to explore those talents and realize that they have talents that they don't even realize they have.
So it sounds like to me you want to eliminate deletion, dilution, distortions in one specific message. You're not just taking the kids that are underprivileged financially.
No.
There's a message with this school that is so powerful that the world needs to understand about it, and understand that at the end of the day, what Hudson Catholic really stands for is that school that takes the kid to the next level, no matter what no matter what their background is. If we just said, Terry, give me the last 3 years and let's look in the next 3 years, and if you have 500 kids that, or let's say 500 over the next 4 years apply for college, how many of those kids get accepted?
We have 100% college acceptance.
100% college acceptance, folks. Just let that sink in. 100% college acceptance. You heard it here. So at the end of the day, Terry, what we've seen in the last 10, 12 years is the son of an educator who took the game to the private world, right?
Okay.
Right? This is Rob Gill's Bayonism. Whether it's public or private, there's still character and integrity based on who you are. It doesn't matter what school it is. It's how you're made up,
Yes.
and how your message is translated within the school itself, right? And how you're now carrying a message publicly is what I'm saying.
Well, you can go. The state of New Jersey tells every high school, every student has to have 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of history.
Cookie cutter.
All right, 2 years of a language, 3 years of science in order to graduate, plus a couple of other credits. So the reality is, you could go to any high school in New Jersey and get those subjects.
Yep.
So I'm not selling algebra.
Yeah.
All right, it's not about algebra. It's not about biology. It's about the other things. All right, character, the person, you know, who you are and who you want to be within that setting. The educational component obviously is vital, but the character component is more important. The spiritual development. You talk about 400 years ago with De La Salle working with impoverished kids. Poverty is not just monetarily. All right? Poverty is opportunity.
Absolutely.
Poverty is a lack of love, a lack of hope. You need to be able to provide those things, and those things are important.
Powerful.
And that's what a school like Hudson Catholic does.
It's amazing.
I'm not teaching you chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you how to be a better person.
So if I'm a parent and I want to send my son or daughter to you next year, what are you telling me? How do you teach my kid character that the other schools aren't teaching?
We're going to hold you accountable. We're going to help you make choices, good and bad.
Yep.
And learn that there's consequences to those choices, good and bad.
Yep.
All right. That life is about choices.
Yep.
You're allowed to make mistakes in a safe, protected environment. Hopefully, you're a teenager. You're going to make those mistakes there, not when they're going to impact your livelihood and your family dynamic. But we're going to show you that you matter.
So that's awesome, by the way, because I'm just kind of going situational. When you see kids that are a little bit like, you know, they don't know how to open up, and they're a little bit closed, and you know they kind of get in trouble a little bit just because they're a little closed, or they're seeking approval from others. How do you handle a kid like that as you see them in your system to show them the love that you're talking about?
I tell every one of my teachers, every student here has a story.
Yep.
You don't know what happened this morning on the way to school. You don't know what happened last night. You don't know what's going on. You can assume, you can think, you don't know. All right? So take the time to know.
Yeah.
And when you see a child who's withdrawn, there's a reason.
Yeah.
When you see a child who's non-communicative, there's a reason.
Yeah.
All right? And students are incredibly perceptive. They know if you're real, and they know if you're not, probably within 5 seconds of meeting you. and I think that you have to be honest with yourself and with your students.
Yeah.
And know that the students need you, but you need the students. And when the teacher realizes that you need those kids,
Yeah.
right, instead of walking around saying they need me,
Yeah.
I think the kids respond. And I think that's how you bring a kid to you,
Yeah.
is letting him know, and her know that there is a trust.
Yeah.
There is love. It's okay to say I love you. I tell every kid in my office, I tell them, I know it's corny, but somehow any student comes in my office before he or she leaves, I'll say, hey, I love you, or I love you, kid, or I want them to hear it at least once a day.
Yeah.
I want them to hear
amazing.
it, because I don't know if everybody does hear it every day, and they should.
Yeah.
And if you're 13, 14, 15, 16, you sure as heck better know that somebody loves you, or that somebody's going to tell you they do.
It's amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that, you know, you highlighted on the fact that you're there to build character, because everyone can teach algebra, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And accountability and responsibility. And along the way from 2000, when did you start at Hudson Catholic? What year?
September of 1985.
1985. And then all the way we get into 2000, let's call that the turning point, 2008, 9, 10, has led you down this different path. Where do you see, like, if I was to just jump in the spaceship and we came back 5 years and we did another interview like this, what would you like to see happen over the next 5 years, specific to the school and the impact, and where it would be going after that?
I would like to see our enrollment expand. I envision us maxing out at 600 students.
So you're
down
not
the
far
road.
from
No.
that right now.
No. I need to keep our school affordable across the board. There's plenty of people who can afford. There's a lot of people who can't, especially in an economic environment like we see right now that's volatile, it's up and down.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that we're affordable and that we have the means to help families when times change, when they're good, when they're bad, so that they can still stay with us. And that's financial stability.
Yeah.
And like every Catholic school, I want to make sure that we're solidly grounded with a growing endowment, with a means to help our families and to keep providing a quality academic and athletic and spiritual education.
It's amazing because we're talking about how to invest in your child right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when they're in grammar school, for a high school like yours, it's an investment in your child's future, right? Like as a parent, if I'm a parent, I'm going to save money for my son or daughter. They go to Hudson Catholic because that's an investment in what my child's going to do after that, and the tools, technologies, and strategies that they learn during that critical 4-year stretch.
I think the buzz points that you'll see that all the Catholic publications have, Catholic school graduates are more likely to have careers in STEM fields. Catholic school graduates are more likely to finish college in 4 years. Catholic school graduates are more likely to go to college. They're great sign messaging.
Yeah.
We had a staff member pass away last year, and she was a wonderful woman. And she and her husband both taught at our school, and she suffered prior to passing. We had a group of graduates who went to her house weekly to sit with her and stay there with her. And to me, that's the message.
Sounds tight.
They were better people.
Sounds like a family.
Yeah, and to see a kid in college take that time to come back and sit with a former teacher. And these were kids who were at schools all over the place. It wasn't like they were going to school down the block in college, but they would come back and they stayed in that time. And I thought to me that resonated. That's what it's about. I had another graduate just call me a month ago and say, Mr. Matthews, my dad just passed away. And she said, I just wanted to call because I know I was loved there, and I just wanted to hear a voice and get some stability right now.
Amazing.
And to me, if you do it right, at your times of your greatest high and your greatest low, you can turn to the school that you went to. And I don't think every school can do that, and I think we do.
Well, yeah. I mean, in fairness and in full transparency, I sit on the board and I'm a contributor to the high school because I believe in it so much, but I didn't go to that high school.
Right.
I went to a different high school. Not that I don't believe in the other high school, I just believe in this one more. That's where I decided to put my money, no offense. And they don't need my money. It's all good, but I really believe the messaging that you share resonates with me incredibly. You know what I mean? Now, when I was coming up, Terry, Hudson Catholic just really wasn't that good in sports. So now that we knocked out the academics and the miracle of 2008, can we talk a little bit about the global sports world that you guys have in championships and what's going on in that spot? Because it just seems like it's not just one sport. There's elevation all over the place.
I think we've done a very good job of seizing an opportunity. You don't get do-overs very often.
Privilege window is what we call that, folks.
So when it came time for us to really refocus and redirect, going co-ed allowed us to have the opportunity to build a girls' sports program, not a girls' team.
Yep.
So I was athletic director at the time. I believe it was my last year as AD.
And you guys were terrible when you were there, right?
No, we had 13 championships. No, we were pretty good. We just weren't. We didn't have girls' sports. We weren't very good in football.
No, you already had Nick at that point.
No.
Okay.
No. We had
Nick. I'm trying to give you a shout out right now.
I'll get him in a little bit. But we had an opportunity. When I spoke with the principal at the time, I said, Hudson County has individual schools with individual girls teams.
Yep.
So you had really good track at St. Dominic.
Yep.
You had really good volleyball at Bayonne. You had really good soccer. but you didn't have a comprehensive athletic program
Yep.
for girls.
Got it.
And we had an opportunity to build from the ground up, to hire good people, to invest.
That's the first thing you had to do, though. You had to hire good people. Right?
So we laid that groundwork, and then we brought in Nick Marinello.
Yep.
As
How did you get Nick?
Nick had been
Because
coaching.
he was already a very good coach before he came to Hudson. At
Yes.
least he had a proven model that was already in place.
Nick had a proven model in public school.
Yeah.
He worked at a regional school, and he worked at Bloomfield. He was a basketball coach.
Yeah.
He wasn't an athletic director.
Got it. There's a difference, folks.
There's a big difference.
It's not just the one sport; it's the whole program.
And
For all the sports.
One of the things that Nick has done extremely well is obviously build our basketball program
Yep.
to a very high level,
Yep.
but also bring the other sports along with it.
Which is phenomenal.
And that's not what happens. And that's when I was talking about when you have a program.
Yeah.
And doing it the right way.
Yeah.
It's very easy to just let everybody come. We bring in good coaches who believe in our
Character.
mission, who understand what it means to coach at Hudson Catholic. That it's Hudson Catholic's team. It's not taken
Their
over
team.
by one person.
Yes.
You know, I used to tell coaches when I was AD, it's Hudson Catholic baseball coached by. You can always change the name after by.
Yeah.
But you're not changing Hudson Catholic.
That's good though. That's company. If I'm going to make that into the Fortune 500, that's company DNA.
Yes.
Right. That's culture. Right. That is the shield.
And you have to do it our way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to do it our way. It's the
love
right
that.
way. And we're not gonna sell out for sports. We're gonna build.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it the right way, and we have been doing it the right
Yeah.
way. And we've had wonderful girls volleyball. We've had fantastic boys basketball. We're
Yep.
building our girls basketball program. They've already had one county championship. Our girls softball program. We just hired a new baseball coach. I'm very excited about our baseball coach. I think he's going to do some really, really good stuff. And we're building all of those sports
Yep.
together.
Yeah.
And everyone understands the direction. Everyone understands the importance. You know, I like to tell people when they would ask me about sports, and you know, you'll get some people,
Sure.
you're just about sport. No, we're not, because the two winningest athletic programs on the collegiate level of the 20th century were Stanford and Notre Dame. And nobody's ever questioned their academic integrity,
It's true.
because you can do it if you do it the right way.
Yes.
And I think we've done it the right way. Our kids are students right now, the graduates in this year's football team are going to Vanderbilt, all right, Tulane, Fordham. Elijah, graduate on our basketball team, just committed to the University of Virginia.
Yep.
These are excellent academic
Yep.
institutions as well as athletic
And
institutions.
there's certain players that you have right now that are being looked at by Ivy League schools as we speak, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
And then non-athletes, they're also getting looked at these schools
course they are.
on a highest level because of exactly what you folks are bringing to the table. And listen, it sounds like, you know, you as the president and the time, TIME, things I must earn. There's no overnight success. It's 30 years in the making. We talk about that all the time. But it sounds like to me what you're bringing forth is a level of not only what you're going to help for the kids, but accountability, structure, intentionality, and really be able to create that congruent approach that when you're having a meeting with your staff, however that works out, it just seems to translate down, and you've created together the messaging, because you just said it best, and I never realized that, but you just said it's not Mary or Joe's basketball team, it's Hudson Catholic basketball coached by
Yes.
Hudson Catholic volleyball. I think that's tremendous. But even outside of the sports, it seems the buy-in for all the folks there in the faculty or there's a very powerful connection.
Yes.
And that doesn't just happen. You have to talk to people about it. You have to hold people accountable. You have to, there's a level of responsibility for you that is not 8 to 5 or 9 to 5.
Oh.
It sounds like you're working 365 days out of the year.
It's not a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
It never will be. But teaching isn't either.
And what does it feel like, though, when you have an impact on these kids? And let me tell you why. My son gets cut from JV last December, which was like, it was all ego for me, no doubt about it. But he worked really hard to get to that point. Late bloomer, half empty. Everything is the worst case scenario for this kid. Like he thinks like that, right? And but there was questionable work 3 years leading in, and he's a kid that, you know, basketball is more of a hobby for him than anything else versus my younger guy. But at the end of the day, the way it went down, my thought was, I don't want this to be what identifies him. So Janice put him in track. Immediately he was like, I'll do anything to play, but I don't want to play track. So we signed a 1-year contract, right? Which is, you know, 1 year after Thanksgiving, he's trying out for varsity. That if he did all these different things, you know, this would be our deal, our contract. And 9 months later, he grew, he played, you know, his ADA, you put a lot of time and effort to where he's going to be. Is he going to make varsity or not? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for me, for him, I was thinking 10 years later that when he gets hit with adversity, he could go back onto what he did the last 9 months and be able to know that when life smacks him in the face again, he knows how to handle it, right? That was what my vision was when I first did it. Along the way, I got to meet a bunch of kids that got cut. Mm-hmm. And then they started playing basketball. We did AAU in 3 different segments. You know, a cut crew in January, February, March. Then spring AAU, fall, summer, fall. And we've increased the competition along the way. He actually got some playing time in that tournament this weekend, right? So at the end of the day, it was about how to gradually bring them through the process. Now, he's still like, he went from a kid that didn't want to shoot. Now he gets offended if he doesn't get playing time, right? So we could talk about that as another lesson. But I felt so good when these kids got better, not just my kids, these other kids. That's what led me to go to the Ukraine. I didn't want to write a check to the AFB anymore. I didn't want to write a check where I wasn't having an impact. Right? So then I go to Ukraine because I wanted to see where the money was going, which was an unbelievable experience, which then led me to CFC Recovery, which is an alternative to AA. That's how I met Bill Spadia, right? And then, you know, what we've recently done as well, because I want to see where the money's going and the impact. That's how I feel. What do you feel like when you're seeing the byproduct of what you're bringing to the table?
I think, as my wife often says to me, sometimes bitterly, I'm the only person she knows that loves going to work every day.
There's 2 people.
And and I think because you'll never get more satisfaction than working with kids.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, if you own a store and you have kids working for you. Kids teach you something every moment of every day. And when people ask me, why should I invest in Hudson Catholic? Because you can see there's a tangible outcome when you look at your money.
It's measurable.
Where's it going?
Yeah.
You see it.
You can measure it.
You see that young man. You see that young lady. You see what your money is providing. When we started this, we talked about opportunity. All right? You're going to fail more in life than you're going to succeed.
That's right.
All right?
Congratulations on all the failures, too, folks.
Yes. But you need to learn, like you were just talking about, you need to learn how to navigate those failures. You need to know, all right, that they're lessons and everything.
Yeah.
And you see that every day in high school.
Yeah.
It's in the high school world, you know, it's tough being a kid.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's
I feel
tough.
so bad for my 2 kids right now.
But you're never.
I feel so bad for them, and they're so lucky.
You're never.
But I feel bad for them.
You're never, think about it for one moment. You will never go through the number of changes.
Yeah.
In
physically.
a more compressed time. Think about it. 4 years, you will change physically, you will change socially, you will change emotionally, you will change philosophically, you will be unsure of yourself, you will be vulnerable, you will be developing. Some guys are going to be smaller, they're not going to grow until later. Some girls are going to it's an unbelievable ball of chaos.
You love it though.
And I love being there for it.
You can't exist
love
without
being
chaos,
there
right?
for it. Because I get to see the outcome.
Yeah.
I get to see them. It's a privilege. When I talk to my staff this beginning of this year, I said, it's a privilege to be a part of this time of their lives.
Yeah.
Because they're allowing you to be in when they're most vulnerable. So you better appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because you're helping start them on a life journey.
Yeah.
And your words matter, your actions matter. One little comment you make to somebody at that time in their life it can have a monumental impact,
Yeah.
positive or negative. So you're privileged to work with kids.
Yeah.
And every teacher, every administrator is privileged to work with a high school student.
Amazing.
And they keep you young. You wouldn't know by the gray hair, all right? But they keep you young. They give you perspective. They give you life. And I think that's a gift.
So you get to see this pattern over and over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same pattern. It's just different cast of characters. In business, we do a thing called CANIes, constant and never-ending improvement. How do we keep climbing up the wall of
Right.
success, right? How do we go higher on the base camp on a mountain? For you, being in the spot you're in, and COVID was what that was, but has your game consistently elevated so now you can anticipate things a lot faster and how to maneuver,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right?
It's experiential.
Yep. And has it been, do you know how to put it in a playbook and transfer that information to the people that work with you to help turn decades into days?
Getting there now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you say?
Getting there.
Yeah, standing on the shoulders of other people.
Yes.
So let me talk about the athlete for a second
Mm-hmm.
and the vultures that are out there when it comes to athletes. I said vultures. By the way, this isn't like a high school that just like wins the cap. The high school, and I'm going to go on the basketball for a second. It's really, they have some of the best players in the country, not just like in the state of New Jersey, which is, it's a basketball haven, but still at the end of the day, when you're dealing with a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't recruit, to be clear, when you're dealing with a parent whose child is coming to your school or is already in there and they're elevating quickly, how do you talk to them about what they need to be worried about, especially with this NIL situation that's developing on a daily basis? How do you really have those kind of conversations? Because I'm sure it's hard, and everyone thinks their kid, especially at that level, is going to be an NBA lottery pick.
Yes.
So what is that like for you? Because you're the guy that sees things coming a mile away as well, and your messaging is always so good.
But I think that you have to educate. So we go back to where we started with this conversation. If you're an educational institution, you're an educational institution.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're only an educational institution for 13 to 17-year-olds.
Yep.
You have to educate parents. You have to educate families. You have to let them know what's going on. You have to, but like the students, I can give you the information. I can give you the guidance. At the end of the day, it's your choice.
Yeah.
So we'll do our best to talk to our parents, how to act, how to comport yourselves in situations when you have high level, athletes for your children.
Yeah.
But I can't tell someone how to parent.
Yeah. Yep.
I can just give them some advice and say, I'd keep an eye on this. I'd keep an eye on that. We're really blessed, and I know it sounds cliche, but if you're focusing on basketball, and in particular boys basketball, because our kids were playing in some event recently on their own, not as Hudson Catholic. You have young men who are great character kids.
Yes. It seems like all those kids are on that team. Yeah.
It's sometimes
you can see it.
Chemistry matters.
It does.
And
yes.
this team, this group of young men has an incredible chemistry about them.
Yeah.
And they've the best kid and the kid with the least talent on that team.
But that least talented kid is just important on that team.
Is absolutely.
The bench, the
and
practices.
They recognize it about each other.
Yes.
And there is no major divisions on the team. You're the 12th guy, I'm the first guy. There's a bond on that team that I'm amazed. And I give Nick and his staff a lot of credit of helping to create it. And
easy.
I give credit to leaders like Elijah.
Yep.
All right. Who can I'm not good, but I'm not too good for you.
But someone taught him that when he was a freshman and sophomore.
Sure.
Or even before he even came to this. I met his parents. Unbelievable.
Yes, they're wonderful
So
people.
that's where it definitely started.
Yes.
But once you're in that system of Hudson success, there's only 5 kids that get playing time.
Yes.
It's not a football team where there's 11 on each side. So he must have learned that as a freshman and sophomore to be able to be a leader now for these kids as he stepped into his junior season.
But I think one of the things that helped him was that he wasn't that all-world player as a freshman.
Got it.
He came in and he earned his time.
Yeah.
And he got better.
Yeah.
And that's what doesn't happen a lot in the world today. This I don't like my amount of playing time, so I'm going to go to another team. Oh, I don't like it here. I'm going to go to another team. And you see it with the clubs that these kids are on in the outside, you know, the AAU and the EIAO. They're,
What's the other one? EIAO?
They're bouncing all over the place until I get
It's a
my
factory.
brain. How about earning it?
It's a business.
How about sometimes you're going to sit behind someone? Use that time to get better.
Yeah.
Learn. Watch. What makes that person better? Why is that guy starting over me? Why is that girl starting over me? What can I do better?
Yeah.
What can I do? And make yourself invaluable, and then be a leader when it comes time.
I agree.
You know,
I agree with that.
and paying it forward.
Yeah, I agree. That's unbelievable. I agree with that 100%.
But not a lot of kids are willing to put that time in these days because their parents aren't willing to let them put the time in.
Yes.
It's
yes.
this immediate gratification. Everyone blames the kids.
Yeah.
It's not always the immediate gratification for the kids. It's the parents that want it as well.
Yes.
And,
yes.
you know, kids need to earn
Yes,
things.
I agree 100%. And, you know, folks, listen, if anyone has any comments, put some comments below. If you want to hear more videos on this kind of topic, let us know. If you want to meet Terry directly or have a private call with the school, Terry, what's the best way? We'll put the link in here, but how can anyone get in touch?
You can stop by or you can call me right at the school number is 201-332-5970.
And what's the website?
HudsonCatholic.org.
Very simply, HudsonCatholic.org. They can send an email there if they want as well.
T. Matthews at HudsonCatholic.org.
T. Matthews.
MATT.
MATTHEWS.
At HudsonCatholic.org.
At HudsonCatholic.org. A lot of people in a 20-mile radius are going to see this. We're going to put this out in that area as well,
Wonderful.
just so you know. But it's all about business. It's all about character first, right? And it's about what does a business model look like, and what can your son or daughter learn in those 4 years of high school that translates for the rest of their life.
Yes.
Service and contribution, continue to serve and contribute at a high level, and understand the difference of why character matters, why it's important to be able to work with other people as your kids get older in life, whether they're privileged or not coming up. And if you could really instill that into your kids, I think that's the most important piece here, because at the end of the day, I know for me, I feel better when I'm helping other humans more than anything else. Like, that means the most to me when I have that feeling of contribution, right? You talked about something before that I thought was incredible, when you referred to, I don't know if the word was wealth or not, I forget what it was, but we talked about abundance mindset, and it doesn't have to be about money, and I agree with that 100%.
Right.
Abundance is about how you work with other people and how you feel, right? Feelings don't show up and make you feel better because you buy something. It's what you have within. And, you know, Tony Robbins said it best, and it's really good. You know, at the end of the day, it's about helping other people first.
Sure.
Right? And by helping others, and for you with your school, which is, you know, in the middle of Jersey City, you were able to survive 08, 09, 2010 and create a whole new culture, system, and process. And now at the end of the day, we're looking to take that next step forward, and what it looks like 5 or 10 years from now. And then when it's all said and done, when it's over for Terry Matthews, what do you want to be remembered for?
Of helping kids. Because if you're a Catholic high school, at the end of the day, you're going to do what Jesus did, which was help other human beings. I told you, it's the greatest thing you can do.
So that's the dash on the tombstone. It's all about the dash.
He helped kids.
Yeah.
He helped kids.
Yep.
Be better.
Yeah.
That's all. Because they made him better, though. That should probably be on there. Helping kids be better made him better.
Yeah.
That should probably be there.
I love it. I love it. Terry Matthews, if you want to get in touch with him or Hudson Catholic, it's down here. Terry, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate it, brother. Awesome job. Tremendous bullets. Unbelievable information. I learned a lot today about a lot of different things.
Thank you.
Just sitting here. And I'm truly grateful. Thanks.
Thanks.